It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome back to another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how are we feeling on this Feel Good Friday?
Does not feel like a Friday. I don't really get those anymore at this point of the year. They just, like during the season, you get into the like weekly routine, right? Like, you have a game every week and you kind of, training camp is just this. We used to say this when I covered baseball down at spring training. It's like the first day you're there is Monday, and then the next 30 days you're there are all Tuesday. That's about where we are here.
God.
This is my.
What about the day? So, like on Monday, they don't. What happens that day? That's not anything. I mean, obviously you'd be like writing probably or something, but like, there's not a little bit of a lull there for you.
It's a little nicer here because I get to go home on that off day instead of. Florida, you go to the beach, so whatever. But yeah, it's a grind, and certainly that Monday is not going to be an off day. So. It does not feel like a Friday. It does feel like a good day. I really like this new practice schedule with practicing in the morning. I feel like I'm a lot less like frantic after practice. So I do like that.
Well, that's good. And also, it might not feel like a Friday to you right now, but I'll be there tomorrow and the following day, and then no practice Monday. So, something to look forward to for the next 3 days for you.
So we wanted to do something for our anniversary, and I've kind of dropped the ball on like getting something scheduled, but I think we should do some kind of like meet up or something Saturday after practice. So let's make that happen. And that should be fun.
Yeah, well, I will be there. Alan will be there. So yeah, anybody that is watching, listening to this, that is also going to be at training camp practice tomorrow, hit us up.
Yeah, if you are coming to training camp tomorrow, then leave a comment and say, I'm coming, and we'll see if we can get people together. We'll go to Sharky's or Dino's or something and have a good old time. Should be fun.
Two places that I have heard a lot about, and Alan, I've never been to either one.
Oh, well, Dino's is the wings. Sharky's is sort of the very classic Steelers writer watering hole, and occasionally Steelers coach watering hole over the years.
There we go. All right. So first 2 days of practice, one player that we have not gotten to see do much of anything, Russell Willson, misses a second straight day with that calf strain. Spoke about it today, said he didn't think it was anything serious. Also, it happened pushing a sled up a hill.
Yeah. I don't want to make too big of a deal about this, but also like, why are you having your 35-year-old quarterback push a sled? It's not helping him be a better quarterback. He's a try-hard, and I get it, and he probably would have had to be physically restrained from doing the drill that everybody else was doing. But man, sometimes you got to think some things through a little bit. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he got hurt, because you can get hurt doing stuff you're supposed to be doing all the time in football. It's a dangerous sport. You can't not do things that you need to do because of injury. I just question whether having Russell Wilson push a sled is really necessary. But they fired their strength and conditioning staff after last season. They brought in a new group from college, and you put yourself in their shoes. What are you going to do? The same thing the last people did? Obviously, that wasn't working like that. There's a reason they got fired and you got hired. So, people are trying to put their stamp on things. They're trying new things. And sometimes you're going to make missteps. Was this one? I don't know. I wasn't there. It's hard to say, but certainly seems like it might have been. Doesn't seem like, thankfully, it's anything major.
It's funny you say about the strength and conditioning thing, because you said somebody asked a question or posted a comment regarding that, right? Like, should they receive flack for going about it?
Yeah, it was one of the questions I got on Twitter today. Yeah, I think it's probably unfair for me to answer that without having seen what was being done. But I'll say this: I don't think it was a smart idea to have Russell Wilson push a sled. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what was does that even normally, do the quarterbacks even normally do that? That's forget the 35-year-old veteran aspect of this. Is that something that
I've never ever seen an NFL quarterback push a sled in my entire I've never seen a college football quarterback push a sled until I saw Phil Dracovic do it, trying to become a tight end last year. Like wide receivers don't push the sled very often, if ever. So yeah, it's a bit strange. It's a bit strange. I don't know if they deserve criticism, but I'll just say it's certainly unusual. And when something bad happens, when you're doing something unusual, eyebrows get raised.
Sure. Okay, well, let's talk about somebody that raised some eyebrows on social media yesterday with clips. However, you kind of, I think rightfully put more context out there for the people that watch or listen to this show about the performance of Justin Fields yesterday. Although when we were going over some notes for today's show, you said that you thought he had a better day today overall.
Yeah, so I haven't been paying attention. What have people seen from Justin Fields today? What was going around on? Were there social media clips galore today like there were yesterday?
Actually, no, I don't think that there were as many today. There was one, a deep ball in between. I think it was Donte Jackson and Joey Porter Jr., where it looks like they maybe lost it in the sun. It was like a 45-yard pass where he did like a somersault afterwards, and there was like a big pop. That was like the one that I saw going around, but I don't think that it wasn't like yesterday where there was like multiple that were going viral. So it's funny that, he probably had a more consistent day today and there's not as much to talk about, like from a viral standpoint.
Yeah, he was definitely better today. And I thought like a lot better. He had some real dimes out there today, man. There's a touchdown pass to Van Jefferson on a corner route. I remember when Ben Roethlisberger was getting older, they used to do this drill, the quarterbacks would, where they put a trash can in the corner of the end zone. And the quarterbacks stand at like the 7-yard line and just try to play darts, basically, throw it in the trash can. And this would have been like when, I don't remember what year, it was a couple of years, but like guys like Mason and Duck and Josh Dobbs and probably later it would have been, some other guys, but they would all stand there and try. Oh, Dwayne Haskins, I remember doing this too. They would stand there for like 15 minutes with 3 of them and nobody would hit it. And then Ben would walk over, pick up a ball, hit it, pick up another ball, hit it again. Then he would try left-handed and not do like any worse than they were doing right-handed. And that's a really hard throw. And Fields put one right in the bucket today for Van Jefferson on a corner route. Now, he tried it again on the next play and he missed it. He was out of the back of the end zone. But that was a really pretty pass. There was an absolute when you're standing on the sideline and the quarterback throws a spiral that's like aimed directly at you, it like doesn't move in the sky. It's like you can't even really tell how fast it's coming at you. He threw an absolute rope about 30 yards on the far sideline to Pat Freiermuth, who had to like jump and put 2 feet down. It was just an awesome play, an awesome throw, like one of the best passing plays I've seen up here in a couple of years. I thought he was really, really good today. The play you mentioned was like a bit of a broken, not a broken play, but like the guards, the center of the offensive line gets pushed back in front of him. He had to bail on whatever his first read was. He tried to escape the pocket. He was hemmed in. He couldn't. And then he just kind of gave it one of those, I think George is down there somewhere kind of throws. It was honestly like a bit of a duck. It was wobbling. It was badly underthrown, even though it went 45 yards downfield. Pickens made a really good adjustment on it. The 2 corners were, like you said, everybody's looking up at the sun. They also had to deal with the coaching staff because Terrell Austin stands like 40 yards downfield in the middle of the defense. So he's like picking Joey there as George made that catch between Joey Porter Jr. and Donte Jackson. I guess it was like inverted cover 2. I have no idea how you get those 2 down there any other way. But
yeah,
I think Pickens probably would have scored. I mean, it's hard to say, but you wouldn't be out of bounds if you called that a long touchdown pass. It was certainly a nice play. So I thought Fields was a lot better today. Cleaned up some of the big bad mistakes that I saw on day 1. He got people lined up right. Maybe one little hiccup with a motion, but he fixed it right away. And then didn't have the problems with the managing the pocket. He did get sacked, but it was a bootleg and TJ read it, and he was sacked as soon as he turned around. Other than that, I thought he navigated getting rid of the ball when he needed to better. I thought it was a lot better today.
And I saw, I don't know how often they did it, but at least one time they did like a QB option, let him show off his wheels a little bit.
So yeah, they did the second team period. First team period was 7 shots. The second team period was this I call it first down, second down, back to back. And the idea is for the offense to not have to get the third down, basically. And they ran a read option with Fields, and it's hard to be fair to the defense there because they can't tackle him downfield. So like,
yeah,
he got at least 10 yards. I bet if you asked Justin, he'd tell you he probably got like 30. It was a big play. It was an explosive play. He is so good running the ball, man. There's no question about that. Never has been. So, yeah, that was pretty nice. Ran the ball a good bit more today than yesterday, especially in that drill. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris both look really strong, really good, man. Every time they touch the ball, I just feel like both those guys are like leaping off the field, like they're flying. Those guys can't wait to get the pads on, and you can tell.
Talked a bit about Van Jefferson yesterday. Obviously, he was the recipient of that long Justin Fields touchdown yesterday that went viral. Today, you mentioned to me before we started recording here that you thought Roman Wilson had a better day as well.
Yeah, so still working mostly with the twos, but I thought he was doing a nice job of working back to the ball. He had a touchdown and 7 shots. The 6th rep from Kyle Allen on a bootleg where he kind of worked out to the outside of Graylin Arnold right along the sideline. Made a really nice catch. I saw him making some catches in traffic. Like that's the thing that I haven't really seen from him yet so far. And if you're going to be a slot receiver, you're going to be in traffic all the time. So I think that's a big thing for him. So I thought he had a much better day today. Van Jefferson popped. He beat Joey Porter on that corner route. So Porter gave up 2 big plays today after being pretty much perfect yesterday. Not going to win them all, but, I think Donte Jackson and DeShon Elliott continue to be the most impactful guys in that secondary. And we'll talk about Elliott and Beanie Bishop here too a little bit. I guess we go into that next if you wanted. Did you have something else about them wide receivers?
No, actually, I was going to bring up Beanie Bishop next. That's perfect.
So Mike Tomlin said something along the lines of like, oh, you guys read too much into everything. It doesn't matter this time of year. I would have to really go back and look through the history books to see how many undrafted free agents were in a starting role by the second practice of training camp their rookie year. Like, it just doesn't happen. Beanie Bishop is – if you're doing a 53-man roster projection, put Beanie Bishop in ink. He's on this team. He's going to start. He is the slot corner. Now, DeShon Elliott's going to play that role a lot. Well, they're going to play that 3 safety. But like Beanie Bishop is out. No one else has taken a slot corner rep that I've seen with the first team. I'm barely even seeing Cam Sutton out there. Beanie Bishop is just locking down everything right now. And look, it's not perfect. Like he got beat a couple times today. Calvin Austin got him pretty good once, but he's just all over the place. He's out there everywhere covering bigger guys. He was against Van Jefferson at one point. Just the faith that they're showing him is absolutely eye-opening.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I know I mentioned this before, and it's not, apples to apples when you talk about the state of the offensive line compared to the state of, the slot corner position for them. But just the faith that the coaching staff is showing in him to put him in this role already as a rookie, let alone an undrafted rookie. I mean, it's really been something to see through this spring. I'm excited to get my eyes on it in person tomorrow.
I'm going to read from my notes here. Every play I have 30 down here for. Van Jefferson on a corner route thrown out of the back of the end zone. Calvin Austin incomplete on a crosser, ball was a little bit behind him. Let's see. Calvin Austin left sideline incomplete. Calvin Austin right sideline gain of less than 5 yards. Might be it. He's out there a lot for a rookie. An undrafted rookie. Talked to him today, good kid too, man. I think he's definitely someone to be excited about.
He hasn't had a rep against George at all, has he? Like, I mean,
not that I've seen because George is rarely in the slot.
Right.
But yeah, no, I haven't.
That's what I say. The opportunity would be few and far between if it happened. I was just curious if it did, but
yeah, not that I've seen.
Okay. And then the other guy that you mentioned there, DeShon Elliott, obviously, he got the first crack. We were talking about the slot spot, but just overall, the way that he's looked, he's one of the guys that you highlighted. You felt like he's stacked good days here.
I think this year's Porter versus Pickens is DeShon Elliott against Pat Freiermuth. Like those two guys have been button heads all camp. It's been healthy competition, but I said on my practice report, I called it wrong side of the borderline. I think Elliott probably had pass interference on the one in the end zone against Freiermuth, but they've been battling, and it's been really fun to watch because Freiermuth's really at the top of his game, and I think Elliott's a really good player too. So I think it's been fun. He's been down in the slot in that 3 safety. He goes back up high to play, not necessarily high, but goes back to playing a regular strong safety when they go to a more traditional alignment. And he's been on the field almost every rep with the first team. He looks great. And I think the newcomers it's funny because like the defense did not need that help, but I think man, like guys like Donte Jackson and DeShon Elliott and Patrick Queen and Beanie Bishop are making all kinds of plays. It's like, oh my, like how, man, we knew TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward and Minkah Fitzpatrick were good. Imagine if these guys keep making plays at this level all season long. Like I'm telling you, people are underrating how good this defense can be. I think it can be
second year, Joey Porter.
I think this could be like they got to stay healthy, and that's been a problem for them. Let's acknowledge that. But like, I don't see any reason this couldn't be the best defense in the league.
You mentioned Donte Jackson in there too. I feel like every third post that I see when he's out there is a pass breakup from Donte Jackson. Just seems to be all over the place.
He's making a lot of plays. He did fall down yesterday and got beat on that Jefferson touchdown. But other than that, it's been and him and Joey got beat for the long play to Pickens today, but that was a weird play and a weird coverage anyway. I think he's been really good, man. And him and Elliott also. The other thing, like the whole practice, like they're giving it to the offense. They're bringing that energy. I think they fit right in.
In terms of the linebackers, because you mentioned Patrick Queen a bit in there too. Not to say that I don't know how much he did day one, but we really didn't talk about him day one at all. But you mentioned him before we started recording. You just mentioned him again there. What have you seen from him here early in training camp?
I had him down for a pass breakup today. He hasn't done a whole lot, not a lot of runs so far. He did run down Najee Harris on a play where Harris got through the line very clean, and Queen ran him down from dead straight behind. So that was pretty eye-opening, the speed there. But it's hard to evaluate linebackers that can't hit people.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm more so curious, not from his ability to hit people right now, but just the athletic ability of Peyton Willson. There was a clip that was going around yesterday of him, kind of showcasing his speed and ability to get in the backfield and make plays. But here we are after day 2. Same question. What have the early returns been? What do you think of Peyton Willson early on?
Yeah, I think I think the athleticism has shown up. I think I haven't seen a splash really, but I've seen the athleticism just flashes. He gets from point A to point B really efficiently. He doesn't make mistakes. I think that's one of the big things is you expect rookies to be bad. I expect rookies to be bad. Rookies stink. I think that's one of the things that you learn a lot when you are in this sport is that even good rookies are not good most of the time. He just doesn't play like a rookie. DeShon Elliott said he's one of the most mature rookies he's ever been around today when he was asked about him. And it's true. He just does not. He's like most rookies, make mistakes and then learn from their mistakes. And what I see from Peyton Willson is a guy who's obsessed with never making a mistake and is in here every day trying to learn about how not to do that. And I mean, that to me is that's a pretty big compliment from a guy played for some pretty good defenses.
Yeah, absolutely. Last I want to bring up on the defensive side of the ball, because this is a guy that we highlighted as somebody that needed to have a big training camp, and so far so
he was
good.
One of the guys we put under the microscope just a few days ago.
DeMarvin Leal, you knew who I was going to say before I even actually said his name. DeMarvin Leal, whose name I have seen a ton through 2 training camp practices.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that DeMarvin Leal has been their best defensive lineman.
Wow.
He's been really good. Now, not very many reps for Cam and Larry, as expected, but Marv's been everywhere, man. He got up and got a pass today, and he said we talked to him after practice. He said, I asked him about it. He said, yeah, should I intercepted that one? And I think it was Joe Rutter from the Trib said, "You mean like TJ?" And he goes, "No, like me."
I like that.
Like the level of confidence seems high. He does just seem like a guy who's finally kind of comfortable in his skin, at his weight, in his role. He feels like he really, they did the tweener thing with him where they were kind of pushing him between positions, and it wasn't certain what he was going to be doing. There was a play today where I have him down for a pressure, but it was a twist. So he's starts, and kind of loops around his D tackle partner, and he got blocked, but he just like dove in, and Kyle Allen was like, like trying so hard to get out of his way because that was a big boy that was coming, and I think Allen ended up running for like a 3-yard scramble, but there's no defensive lineman on here as much as DeMarvin Leal, and it's not even close.
Yeah, that's what awesome. I mean, just obviously not being there, but just going based off my Twitter feed, it seems like his name's been everywhere. Like Nick has talked about him a ton, so it's good to see. I mean, through of course we're just through 2 practices, not even put the pads on yet, but this is certainly the start to what he needs to have in order to make this team. So
yeah.
And then I wanted to go back to the offensive side of things and talk about George Pickens a little bit. We didn't talk about it yesterday at all. We briefly spoke about it before we started recording, but there was something going around yesterday with George Pickens and Zach Azzanni. And, going back to the hire of Zach Azzanni, we wondered, like, just because of his reputation as a coach, wondering how that's going to go. Like, we're going to find out about George and his ability to be coached hard through Zach Azzanni being his wide receivers coach.
Always get coached hard. Zach Azzanni is a fiery dude. He is an in-your-face kind of guy. I said on Twitter, I think he's the most soundbiteable of the Steelers assistant coaches already by far. You hear him from across the practice field. He's an intense guy. And the other thing is, man, he is a stickler for details. He is not going to let things go by the wayside. So yesterday he called out George in the middle of a play. I've never heard an assistant coach yelling at a player before the play even ended. But all you hear is, like, as Jaylen Warren is like picking his way through a block, George, like it was noticeable.
Yeah.
Look, I think maybe a little bit more than needed to be made of it was made of it yesterday. It's not a big deal for a coach to yell at a player. It happens hourly, certainly multiple times daily. I was talking to Mike Pursuta from the morning show about, could you imagine if you were when Cower was running practice and you had to write a story every time a coach yelled at a player? Like, you'd just be here all day writing coach yells at player. So yeah, it's not bad. It's definitely different. I think that's the big thing. So Frisman Jackson was the wide receivers coach before. He's a really laid back guy, super non-confrontational. This is very different. And I'm interested to see how this is going to go with him and George Pickens and their personalities. And look, George has things to work on. We've talked about this. Like, he has a lot to prove this training camp. I think he needs to show that he can be a true number 1 receiver, that he can diversify that route tree, that he can handle the ups and downs of being targeted by every opposing defense game in and game out. So it's definitely going to be something to watch. I don't think anybody should be concerned about George Pickens. He's one of the best players on the team's offense, but it's definitely going to be interesting.
I was going to ask if you thought maybe more of it was made than needed to be yesterday. I was going to ask if you thought that was because it is George that we're talking about here, because there is, obviously going back to last year, we saw some outbursts and stuff like that, and just kind of the reputation that he's earned himself in a short period of time here. Do you feel like that is probably why that is the case?
Sure. Yeah, probably. I mean, if like Minkah Fitzpatrick screwed up and somebody yelled at him, nobody would care, right? I mean, that's just because it's definitely because of who it is and because the way he's acted in the past, frankly. And so definitely that kind of thing gets put under a microscope. And but I'm interested to see how this works, man. I don't know. I think George is still going to be a good player no matter what, but he could be an unhappy one at times too. That's for sure. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
I want to stick on the receiver talk to wrap things up here. because there was a report that came out about the Steelers and their wide receiver search. Yeah, we're going back to that that they feel confident that they will eventually land one of Brandon Aiyuk, DK Metcalf, or this is a new name thrown into the mix here, Tyreek Hill. 2 years left on his deal that he signed in Miami, 4 years, $120 million when he signed there. I do think that he is looking for a pay bump. He's talked to Drew Rosenhaus about that, but he was even put out, like he said, I don't want to be traded. Like I want this to happen in Miami. I don't want to go anywhere else. But what do you make of this? Have you heard anything similar or maybe even disputing that information?
Well, not entirely disputing, but I was talking to some people about Brandon Aiyuk, and honestly, it was like a Steelers people, and it was a joke. Like it was like, can you believe people are talking about that? Like we never thought that was realistic, and certainly not since the draft has it been something that they've been focused on. So when Omar says there's nothing going on in the wide receiver market, there's nothing going on in the wide receiver market. I wrote today at the site, it's true. Like Aiyuk's at training camp. We talked a lot about how that needed to not happen for him to be traded. Cortland Sutton got his money. Darius Slayton got his money. I guess CD, like the Bengals guys are not going to get traded to Pittsburgh no matter what happens. CD Lamb, like how are the Cowboys going to justify Jerry Jones saying all in 1,000 times this offseason and then trading their best offensive weapon? Like it's just not going to happen. Tyreek Hill, I mean, I guess there's a DK Metcalf. Like, why would the Seahawks trade him? I understand why the Steelers would certainly do that deal if it was presented to them, but I can't understand why the Seahawks would possibly be looking to move him.
I don't understand that. You would think if they were going to have to move a receiver like Tyler Lockett because of his age,
Lockett
would make more sense. Yeah.
And because Jackson Smith and Jigba does more of the Tyler Lockett things, like they don't have. Nobody has another DK Metcalf. That's what makes him special. Like I don't see that. I mean, the Steelers would love for that to happen. Certainly, they would take him in a heartbeat. I don't see it. So I haven't heard anything that can like directly refute that they believe that. But I certainly think that they don't believe they're getting Brandon Aiyuk. I'm pretty sure of that, and aren't even really trying at this point.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, with Omar saying that that's happening, is there still an attempt right now? Or do you think that kind of has cooled off and then we'll pick back up again when we see roster cuts and stuff like that?
Yeah, but like we've talked about, it's going to be a different tier of guy at that point. And I wrote today, I made a whole list on the site. It was Juju. It was guys we talked about, Robert Woods and John Mechie and Noah Brown from Houston, Sky Moore and Justin Ross from Kansas City, Treylon Burks. Like that's the caliber.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the Chiefs guys until I read your article with their inclusion, but they did, added Hollywood Brown. I don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice and obviously in the draft getting Xavier Worthy. So there could be a guy at the bottom of that roster too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like if you include their kick returner, that's 7, including Rice, but not including Moore and Ross. Justin Ross is a big dude, 6'4". I played at a big school in Clemson that the Steelers like to recruit. They like to have a good relationship with. So, I mean, again, though, like there's a big difference between Justin Ross and John Mechie and Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf. Like we're not even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember going back with Justin Ross, though, when he was coming out, he credited the Steelers team doctor for work that he did on him to get medical clearance because he had like that heart thing in college. Yeah. So, yeah. Maybe
there's a relationship there. And obviously Sky Moore played high school football with Dino Tomlin. There's a long relationship there between him and Mike Tomlin personally. So certainly those could be guys they could be interested in. You probably could come up with another half a dozen names if you tried, but I think some move like that is a lot more likely than one of these big names.
I certainly agree. Definitely at this point. Alan, anything else from day 2 or just in general?
No, I don't think so. If you didn't catch it this morning, we just launched our newest audio visual feature at Steelers Now, and that's going to be called Steelers Morning Rush. It's just going to be me, although sometimes it might be somebody else because, well, I can't always be here. But it's just going to be like 5 to 10 minutes on one topic. First thing in the morning, get you guys going, and sort of be our companion piece to Steelers Afternoon Drive, and then keep doing practice reports after practice every day. So we should have like way more Steelers coverage than you can shake a stick at, which is always like an interesting phraseology to me, because like, what is the limit of things that you could shake a stick at? I feel like if I had enough time, I could shake a stick at everything in the entire universe, right? Like,
yeah. What's the time limit on
2, 3? Like, I don't know. That's a lot of things. Anyway,
morning rush, afternoon drive. Not saying it's happening, but if there were to be like a nighttime one, I want some ideas of name, just like just to go along with it. I want to know if anybody can come up with a creative name in the comments. Not that we're gonna need, but I'm just curious as to what people would come up with to go along with it.
I mean,
I like the name though.
Yeah, it's coming in. And we've got Joe Steigerwald got me a graphic today. We're going to do a little intro thing. Maybe I'll get some music. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as the music we have for Afternoon Drive, because, I mean, we set the standard here.
Standard is the standard.
Question. The standard is our standard.
And yeah, don't ever come in here in the comments again with this Chris Carter's is better stuff. That was disrespectful. And I got to talk to Chris Carter tomorrow, by the way, because he got people fired up about thinking there was a Paul Steens defensive call out, and it was not Paul Steens that was being said. Landon Roberts confirmed that afterwards. So I did have a talk with Chris tomorrow. He got people in Pittsburgh super excited, and just to let them down. So, Alan, tell the people they can find you.
At @Saunders_PGH, PGH Steelers Now, SteelersNow.com, all the stuff from training camp. Go there and check it out. Please read the words so I can get paid.
There you go. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell here. Hit us in the comments with your thoughts on anything that we talked about. A creative name that you would title a night podcast to go along with Morning Rush, Afternoon Drive. What would that third one be if you guys could name it? Just wanted to know out of curiosity what you guys think about that. Leave us a 5-star review and subscribe if you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Be sure to follow us on TikTok as well, Steelers Afternoon Drive. Find me everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH, including at St. Vincent College the next couple of days. Like we said, let us know in the comments if you will be there. We want to do a little meetup with anybody that, I mean, in general, but especially if you watch or listen to the show. So let us know in the comments if you will be there. That's it. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.